Peter Parker's world ends the moment it should have started fresh. Erased from every mind that ever loved him, he spends 4 years alone, swinging patrol routes with no one to come home to, until a new threat pulls him back into other people's lives, whether he's ready or not. Destin Daniel Cretton's Brand New Day is a deliberate correction. After 3 films that widen Spider-Man's world into multiverses and Avenger cameos, this one narrows it back down to fire escapes, bodegas, and grief he never got to process. It's the same city, the same mask, but a different kind of hero movie entirely. One more interested in who Peter is when nobody's watching than in how big the next threat gets. That instinct didn't appear out of nowhere. It has a lineage.
Love you because you're you.
If you're gonna do something, you better do it now.
Never forget that. No matter how powerful you've become.
Every version of the modern superhero starts with the same impossible math. How do you love someone and also save the world when the world keeps needing you more than they do? Long before Peter Parker wrestled with that question in a queen's apartment, another hero in a cape was doing the same arithmetic and choosing for one reckless moment to give it all up. It's the first time a mainstream superhero film treated the mask as a genuine sacrifice rather than a costume change.
General? Would you care to step outside?
Superman 2 is the blueprint for the normal life or the cape dilemma that every street-level successor would eventually inherit. Clark Kent doesn't juggle his double life here so much as detonate it, walking into the Fortress of Solitude and surrendering his powers outright so he can be with Lois Lane as an ordinary man. It's a startling choice for a 1980 tentpole. The hero doesn't win by getting stronger. He risks everything by choosing to be weaker.
The film's troubled production history only deepens the parallel. Richard Donner shot the bulk of it before being replaced by Richard Lester, who reshot and retuned the tone to get sole directing credit. A movie about a hero split between 2 identities, itself split between 2 directors with 2 different visions of who that hero should be. When General Zod and his allies threaten Metropolis, Superman's return to the Cape isn't triumphant so much as necessary, a duty he never fully escapes. That's the shape Peter Parker will keep tracing for the next 5 decades, the fantasy of walking away and the impossibility of actually doing it. If Superman gave the genre its first taste of sacrifice, the next decade asked a darker question. What happens to a hero who doesn't get his old life back? What if the mask isn't a choice he's making, but the only thing he has left? A slain man returns from the dead to finish what was taken from him, and in doing so, hands the genre something it hadn't fully explored: grief itself as an origin story. The Crow strips the superhero premise down to its rawest possible engine. A man is murdered alongside the woman he loved and comes back with one purpose: moving through his own neighborhood like a ghost who still knows every alley. Alex Proyas shoots Detroit's Devil's Night chaos with a gothic, rain-soaked intimacy that makes Eric Draven's vengeance feel hyper-local. This isn't a hero saving a city, it's a man reclaiming the 4 square blocks that were taken from him. The film's production was marked by real tragedy. Star Brandon Lee died in an on-set accident during filming, and the crew rebuilt the finished movie around the footage they already had, using stunt doubles and early digital work to complete his performance. That collision between the story's grief and the production's own loss gives the film a weight that's impossible to manufacture. It's the genre's clearest early argument that a hero's power can come entirely from what's been taken from him, not what he's been given. By the 2000s, the genre had superheroes and it had grief, but it hadn't yet fused both to a specific breathing city block. That took a photographer with a secret, a girl he couldn't have, and a mentor-turned-monster with 4 mechanical arms. The first time this exact character, in this exact city, learned that being everywhere at once might cost him everything he actually wants. Spider-Man 2 is still the high watermark for what this franchise can be when it stops chasing spectacle and starts chasing Peter Parker's exhaustion. Sam Raimi doesn't open with a villain, he opens with late rent, a lost job, and a friendship falling apart, and lets Peter's powers flicker out from sheer emotional overload before a single fight scene happens. When the powers do return, it's not a triumphant reveal, it's relief, tangled up with everything he's been avoiding.
Raimi storyboarded the elevated train sequence before he even had a finished script, and the production built a real, physically bending train car so Spider-Man's webbing looked like it was actually straining under the weight of the passengers he's trying to save. That commitment to physical, grounded stakes, a hero fighting for people, not abstractions, is exactly the register Brand New Day returns to. One reviewer watching Creighton's film decades later said they hadn't felt Spider-Man belonged to his own neighborhood this completely since this exact movie.
The genre had learned grief, and it had learned neighborhood-scale stakes. What it hadn't fully reckoned with was age. What it costs a hero to keep doing this long after the world stopped needing the version of him it once celebrated. That reckoning arrived in the form of a claw-handed loner, hiding out near a border, trying to keep one last person alive. Logan takes everything the superhero genre had built up over decades of spandex and grandeur and burns it down to something closer to a Western. James Mangold's film finds Wolverine worn out, medicating his pain, caring for a dying mentor, and reluctantly protecting a child he never asked for. A hero defined less by what he can do than by what it's finally costing him to keep doing it. Hugh Jackman has said this was the hardest Wolverine film he ever trained for, and he treated it as his farewell to the character, chasing a raw, more honest physical toll than any prior entry. The film was later re-released in a black and white noir cut, stripping away even more of the genre's usual color and spectacle to leave something closer to pure character study. That willingness to let a hero be tired, mortal, and quietly grieving is the exact register Brand New Day reaches for in its own Aunt May's grave opening. The cost of the mask made physical, not abstract. One decade later, the same director who would eventually hand Peter Parker his most grounded chapter yet was still finding his own footing with a hero of his own. A man running from a violent inheritance he never wanted, forced to finally turn and face it. Before there was a Brand New Day, there was a first attempt at proving this exact filmmaker could do character-first spectacle at all. Shang-Chi is Destin Daniel Cretton's own hero movie, and it's impossible to separate from what he'd go on to do with Spider-Man. Cretton, a filmmaker who'd spent his career on small, character-driven dramas, was handed a martial arts blockbuster and answered by keeping the family drama at dead center. Shang-Chi's fight scenes are inseparable from his relationship with an absent father, not just choreography for its own sake. Cretton has talked about a key image he built the film around: Shang-Chi as a child, forced to punch a wooden training post until his knuckles bled. Trauma made physical, carried forward into every fight he has as an adult. That same instinct to let a hero's body carry the weight of what happened to him rather than just his powers is the through line into Brand New Day, where Peter's exhaustion and grief are written into how he moves through the city, not just what he says about it. This is Cretton's first hero. 4 years later, he'd bring that same eye to Spider-Man himself. Nothing about Peter Parker's Brand New Day arrived from nowhere. It's Superman choosing weakness, Eric Draven reclaiming his own streets, Peter Parker learning exhaustion, Logan learning what it costs to keep going, and a director learning his own hero before he ever touched this one. That's not restart, that's roots.